Today, I'm very excited to be presenting our guest speaker. While I think that the intro could go on pretty long, I want to make sure we give him as much time as possible. He's an activist and founder of the Portland chapter of the Black Panther Party, which was an organization that fought against racism, capitalism, and imperialism through various and many different services and programs that they enacted. So I'm really happy that we have here today with us Mr. Kent Ford.
Thank you. And I want to thank you guys at the Activity School for having me this morning. It's an honor to be here. We always got good support from you guys at St. Andrews. We go back over 50 years, long before a lot of you were born, I think included an instructor there. Can you guys hear me okay? Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. But anyway, we got good support from the guys at St. Andrews. You may not know this, but Angela Davis's mother spoke at the rectory there over 55 years ago now, back in 1970. They had Angela locked up in jail, and Father Griffith, he was a good man, better man than God ever let live. And he was a lawyer in canon law, and he always came out to the courthouses, always gave us full support. And he would let us use the van at the school, that the church had, and use the van to get around the community, and he always pat our backs. And I just want to give gracious and praises where it's due. And we got more support from St. Andrews, and we had the breakfast program right up the street from you guys at the church on 9th and Gwen Street, United Church of Christ. And at 5 o'clock in the morning was one of the biggest and baddest things that we did. We'd be loading the trunk of the car up with weapons of mass destruction, bacon, eggs, pancake mix, up to today it's called Martin Luther King School. Back then it was Highland School. And we feed anywhere from 50 to 125 kids every morning, 5 days a week. And nationwide, we fed over 30,000 kids. And we kind of using food as a weapon. And then we decided we opened up a free health clinic, and we helped you guys at St. Andrews open up your health clinic. And we're the only chapter in the country that had a dental clinic. And we did Father Griffith and had some of the sisters from St. Andrews call us up, and then you guys had some people to come down and for dental care. And this was Medicare for all over 55 years ago. And it's I like what the introduction speaker said about, we organized them down here, and we were revolutionary socialists, and we took our hits, and we did like Ali, we bobbed and weaved, but we always came back. And we were against the war in Vietnam, against the war in Iraq, against all wars. We have 800 military installments in over 2/3 of the world's countries, ripping off their resources, plundering their people. It's one of some of my mentors back in the day. I wouldn't say that the word the dirty old communists and all this and that. And again, we were down here. And we want to implement socialism for everybody. And they came after the three-letter guys. They came after us with everything they had. I can't. I got plenty of stories to tell. Maybe I can get into some of them during the question and answer period. And so we passed out thousand and thousand. We're still passing these out today of pocket lawyers. So the lawyers carry a pocket. I was at the protest all last summer. I started about the second weeks in June, first week in June of last year, after the Minneapolis police arrested George Floyd, and we been out in the streets ever since. And anybody that hasn't been in there in the protest, I humbly ask you, to ask your parents, can you come? And we just out there, and trying to make a difference. And it seems like it's the only thing they understand. And we have to teach them a lesson that they never forget. That's what I know a lot of you guys have read Malcolm X and you know about Martin Luther King. So we took our cues from all these guys. And the party was founded in Lowndes County, Alabama, and it was to register people to vote. And one day I can hopefully, when the virus sort of gets under control, I can take you guys on a walking tour of the neighborhood where we had the health clinic, the dental clinic, the breakfast program. And I just want to, the minute I got the text from the email from the teacher there, I said, okay, St. Andrews, boy, I just love you guys. I just want to tell you that. I mean, you just unwaveringly, you guys gave us all the support back in the day. And we never would have been able to survive and get where we are today if it hadn't been for you guys. So that's pretty much it for me. Maybe I can get into more of the questions and answers. And I just want to thank all you guys for inviting me, for having me on this, especially for Black History Month. And I just want to say, Black Lives Matter, power to the people, and with you guys and all you young people, we can make a change. That's pretty much it for me.
All right, so if we may, we could have some students write questions for you in the chat, or they might unmute and ask. Is that all right? Some things that maybe they heard they'd like to hear more about.
Okay. We had first, so thank you. We made alliances in the Asian community, the white community, and the Hispanic community, and the Native American community. We made all these alliances, and we were totally against the Vietnam War. Lyndon Johnson, he had 548,000 troops in Vietnam, and they still couldn't win. They relocated 80% of the Vietnamese population, and they still couldn't win. And they finally reunited the country and got their independence. And that's a whole other story. I've had friends who go back to Vietnam to make amends to them for the carnage they inflicted on the Vietnamese people. And it's this business, that we do, all the countries we bombed, from Guatemala to Iraq to Afghanistan, and all these, bombing back into the Stone Age. That seems to be the U.S. imperialism, capitalism way of life. And we made these alliances in 1968, 1967. Just last month, it was Dr. King's birthday. And he made this speech at April 4th, 1967. April 4th, 1967, he made that speech at the Riverside Church against the Vietnam War. Well, he had gotten the Nobel Peace Prize, and the guys were telling him, said, Dr. King, how can you be against, get the Nobel Peace Prize? You're not against this, you're not against the Vietnam War. And well, he made this speech, and he said, the bombs you drop in Vietnam will explode at home. Well, it did. You had Newark, Detroit, New York, Washington, D.C., yet all these cities blowing up and doing nothing for the infrastructure. Young guys like myself at the time, I was supposed to be out on the street corner every day talking to the guys I see on the street and talking to people on the streets and talking to college groups and high school and how unjust it was and what they were doing to the Vietnamese people. And when Dr. King turned against the war in Vietnam, that's what sealed his fate. And when he took that bullet April 4th, a year to the day, he was dead. And well, Malcolm, you couldn't fool him. Nobody could fool him. He was like Fidel Castro. He was always, you couldn't outfox him because it was all right here in his heart. And he's the one that set the tempo for the party. And again, the party got started in Lowndes County, Alabama, just to register people to vote. Then the brothers out of the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, San Francisco, they spread to 28 chapters, including the District of Columbia. Well, he turned against the war in Vietnam, and then he made alliances with the Peace and Freedom Party, SD, Students for a Democratic Society. And then we got started in Portland. We hooked up with a group called the Resistance. Well, the Resistance, what they did, if you didn't want to go to Vietnam, you come by there, they give you a bus ticket to Canada, and then you go up to Canada and you ride out the Vietnam War. And well, Jimmy Carter was elected president in 1976. Well, 2 weeks after he became president, he completely gave a blanket pardon to everybody who went to Canada to get out the Vietnam War. And it was over 100,000 people that went to Canada to get out of the Vietnam War. One day when you guys come on a walking tour, I can go into it in a little more depth. But these were the constraints that the empire was was operating on at the time. You know, it's our way or the highway. That's the way they done it back in the day. And so we were against the war in Vietnam, politics and that. That was pretty much it.
Can I questions people have typed? So thank you. We're seeing some good questions here. I'm going to combine a couple.
Thank you.
So when you started helping people, did you ever think the impact would be as big as it was? And did you ever feel like giving up when you first started?
No, we never did feel like. It's pretty hard to, once you make that commitment, you know, you excuse my language, you can't save your ass and your face at the same time. And so, okay. And so when we first started, you know, and we took our hits, like I said, what we did at Ali. Ali said, no Vietnamese ever called me that N-word. I'm pretty sure you guys have read the history, you know, and that's what he said. But I took that they took his title away because he was supposed to go in the service and then go to Vietnam. And we all of us heavyweight champion. But who had Ali's ear? Malcolm X had his ear, and he's the one that he's the one that told us. So giving up and all that, you know. Like I said, we took our hits, we bobbed and weaved, but we always come back. We kept feeding the kids. We kept the health clinics open. We kept the dental clinics open. We kept the food program going. We kept all of our programs going. You know, the health clinic was open 7 to 10 Mondays through Fridays. We served hundreds of patients every week. We were down on Williams and Russell Street, down by Emmanuel Hospital. That was a core area. You could get anything you want down in that area. I mean, it was all American city, including your life taken away. The people had our backs down in there. They were glad we were down in there. And we had the doctors would come down in there. The city had completely written off that area, completely written it off. And the minute we moved down in there, organized them, and with the health clinics, the dental clinics, and the breakfast program, they didn't want to take an interest in it. And it was racist to the core.
Excuse me?
That's a good question.
Go ahead.
How do you feel about like gangs, and how like they're acting now? Because like they were first started to protect the Black community.
I'm going to repeat that for you because your sound's lagging a little. So I'm going to ask,
Okay.
how do you feel about gangs now as they were started to protect the Black community, and their impact or their effect on the Black community has changed?
The effect on the Black community has changed.
Right. So she's asking about gangs.
The gangs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the effect on the Black community has changed, with the rappers, and it's all positive. It's all for the uplifting of the neighborhood, the gangs, the drugs, and everything. And we can't talk about the gang without talking about the gentrification and everybody in the Black community has to move out to the numbers now, and that's further out by Eastern Oregon, Gresham, Troutdale, and those places. So it's a evolution process for the gangs, and the gentrification took full advantage of the situation in the neighborhood, and you had a lot of guys jumping on the bandwagon, just throw them in jail, throw the key away, and without dealing with the problem. But they had to listen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys know the Arthur James Baldwin. You probably read some of James Baldwin, Malcolm X. And what's so good about it today? You can pull these guys up on YouTube. You got Baldwin at Oxford, Malcolm in Harlem, Malcolm at Berkeley. You can pull these speeches up on YouTube. You can read them. If they hadn't nipped this situation in the bud then, you guys, we wouldn't be where we are today. It's just greed and selfishness, and I can't say enough. I don't want to even bring up the last president's name today, but I can't say it. I get into a lot of this, a lot of stuff. But he wasn't. I mean, he was racist to the core. I just want to emphasize that. But with these invasions and these bombings and all that, he didn't do that. I mean, he let you know, with his talking about shit old countries and all of that, and well, look at Obama, you guys. I mean, he with these drone strikes, dusted American citizens overseas with these drone strikes. I'm going to say this. He's out of Harvard University, Obama. And nice man, and he can talk the dogs off a meat wagon. But instead of being president, he should have went into the CIA. And that's what he should have done. And in history's gonna be the best there is, but they have to listen to Malcolm, if they listen to James Baldwin. We could have nipped these problems in the bud back then. We wouldn't have to be dealing with the same thing today. Each generation have to dealing with the same thing today. We had a right-wing senator years ago. His name was Richard Russell. He was out of the South. Boy, he was a real right-winger. But when the war in Vietnam broke out, he said, I don't see how come we got to send every generation off to war. Well, that's the empire. So once they get a felony on you, well, they pretty much got your track record on you for life. And they do it now and do it when you're 16, 17, or 18, and don't have to worry about you no more. They get you in the system, and that's it. We had a lot of guys in the party. They kept it. He was headed over to his girlfriend's house. That's a natural occurrence. But when the police snatched him, just to run him in and get a make on him. And one time they arrested me. They set my bill at $80,000. A lady that I didn't even know, I didn't know from this young lady right here. A lady came out and put up the bill for me and got me out. And I was able to get organized my case, and I walked out 2 weeks later. They not guilty. Well, they got me on ride and inciting the ride. You guys seen their business the other day, but where the president tell the guys go to the White House and they did all this. Well, I wasn't even there. And they come pick me up and threw me in jail on a secret indictment. Well, looks what happened. A lot of these guys are law enforcement people. They still walk in the streets. You see, that's just double standard, you know. I'm gonna ask you all, you know, hang in there, you know, study this, study that, you know, and you know, be peaceful, be kind, and be nice, you know. But somebody do you wrong, you know, do your best to set it straight. And the party had a 10-point platforming program. Platform number 6, we want to immediately end the police brutality and murder of Black people. That was written in October of 1966. It's more valid today than it was written when it was written over 55 years ago.
I think we have time for one more question.
Some more, sure.
Somebody asked, is there anything that you were afraid would happen? And I'm just going to add to that. And how did you cope with that? Or what would your advice be for our young people who are undertaking this work, as they might be afraid?
It's not, let me put it this way. You wouldn't be afraid to go off and fight some poor or indigenous people in another country. Don't be afraid to fight for social justice here. You know, it's all come from here. You play it straight. You get out, you talk, you know, the guy used to hit the street corners every single day. The party had a newspaper that came out once a week. And we distributed over 100,000 papers a week. And we would, if the guys didn't have money to buy paper, we would just give it to them. But we had to set the example. And they see us out there every day. And when they see us out there every day, they know we had their back. So immediately they start defending us. And that's where your support is going to come. Support is going to come from the people. And that's the way you play it. And the people always make history. It's not the Democrats, it's not the Republicans. You forget about those guys. They're all out for themselves. That's why we say power to the people and Black Lives Matter. And we form these coalitions with all groups. We don't kick anybody to the curb. And we can common ground with everybody. All I can say is, a lot of young people, you know, is when you get out here, you know, like I said, you play it straight. Nothing shady. And when they come at you, they go, and you know, when the convention, they came, like they arrested me 5 times in 1 week. Well, one time I'm out there, you know, just talking to guys on the street corners, just tell them about the war in Vietnam, tell them about police brutality here, things like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and I said, well, there's no crime in this. And well, next thing you know, you got the 3-letter guys coming by your house. You got these guys and these guys, the sheriff, the county. And one time, you guys, I'll tell you the story real quick. We were given first aid training for all of us staff at the health clinic. Well, they went over to Vancouver, Washington, and they brought a guy in from the sheriff's department over there that we didn't know. I didn't know until several years later. And he was from the Vancouver, Washington Sheriff's Department, where he was giving our guys for first aid training. Well, we didn't know that. I didn't know this until we seen him in the courthouse one day. And I mean, this is the kind of stuff they pulled back then. But they came after, they came 50 years later, we're still here, you know, and they came after us with everything they had. I hope that I kind of answered some of the question there, but you have to get out there. You take your history, make a few adjustments, but the main thing is, you know, you stay out with the people.
Thank you so much. Can we please give Mr. Ford a round of applause?
Everybody come on.